let's get into our one up, one down this week. Ben, we're starting with you. Who's your up?
My up this week is the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Ooh, okay.
Now, I've had them earlier in the year when they were playing hot, and I feel like everybody just thought the Pirates fell off a cliff and now they're not any good anymore. Well, guess what? They sweep the Cardinals. They're now 31-27. They had won 5 games in a row entering the new week. They're just outside of first place, looking good. Mitch Keller's been one of the best pitchers in baseball all year long. David Bednar and Colin Holderman have been one of the best back end of a bullpen in all of baseball. The Buccos are playing good baseball. They're my one up. 5 in a row. Don't sleep on the Pirates. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
What about yours?
That's fair.
Yeah.
I just kind of mentioned my one up. My one up are the Miami Marlins.
Ooh.
And you know why? They're sitting pretty in second place right now in the NL East, just below the Braves. They are 3 games out of first place behind the Braves. And they're above the Mets and the Phillies, who were both extremely favorable teams heading into this season. Obviously, both have underperformed up until this point, but they're 7-3 in their last 10 games. Luis Arraez hit .545 last week, the best batting average in Major League Baseball. Even Sanchez hit .462, tied for 6th best in Major League Baseball last week. Miami has a lot of potential. They have a lot of great young players, but they also have a core group of established guys who have proven themselves, who have won big awards. They have the batting title in Luis Arraez. They have the reigning Cy Young winner in Alcantara, who had a great kind of comeback to his outing in Sunday's game. But yeah, Miami's my up this week.
I like it. We talked about them in Monday's episode, and I'm a big fan of what this team is doing. And you talk about how good their pitching rotation is. Sandy Alcantara has been their worst pitcher this year.
Which
you
is
know
crazy.
That's going to turn. The guy's dominant.
Yeah.
He's going to be great. I truly believe he's going to figure it out. And I don't, I use the term worst rather, I don't know if he's literally been their worst. But of their 3 or 4 good starters in that rotation, he hasn't been very good. And you have to believe that's going to turn around. And then you add to that the Yuri Perez's of the world, the Edward Cabreras, who have shown that they can be dominant.
Mm-hmm.
On top of, you have a guy like Luis Arraez, who's a big average guy. He's not going to hit a ton of homers. But then Jorge Soler hit 12 homers in May. I feel, I like him.
Yeah.
I like your answer.
Thank you.
I'm equally as passionate, Alex, about my one down.
Who's your one down?
I am down on the St. Louis Cardinals. This team has no fight. There is no fight to this Cardinals team. Now, I'm not one to call for jobs, really, but we really need to consider what Ali Marmol is to this team and if he has a future as the manager of this St. Louis Cardinals team. They've lost 7 of their last 10 games entering the new week. They were swept by the Pittsburgh Pirates. They're in dead last place in the NL Central. This is bad. The start to their year is historically bad. They haven't been this bad through 60 games since 1995.
Oof.
1995. They haven't been as bad since then. Joe Torre was their manager that year. Gas prices, Alex, $1.38. The number 1 song was Water Runs Dry by Boyz II Men. Batman Forever was the number 1 movie in theaters. And Pedro Martinez was on the Montreal Expos still.
No.
It has been that long since the Cardinals have been this bad through their first 60 games of the season. The front office has been abysmal, and it's not just this year. To me, you got to step back a couple of years, and where this really started rearing its head, for me, Mike Shildt and the way they handled that situation when he was their manager. Mike Shildt was in the Cardinals organization for 18 years. He worked his way up from being a scout in the Cardinals organization to being the manager of the St. Louis Cardinals. He was fired after the 2021 season, which was historic. for the St. Louis Cardinals. They had a historic 17-game winning streak, the longest in franchise history, which got them into the playoffs that year. They made the playoffs for 3 straight years. Mike Shildt was running that team and running it well. He was NL Manager of the Year finalist after the 2021 season, and he was fired. He got fired after being an NL Manager of the Year finalist. 3 consecutive years in the playoffs, 252 and 199 was his record. Fired over philosophical differences. Philosophical differences is why he was fired. This is what Mike Shildt had to say after his firing. He said this last year. I have a broken heart. It still hurts. It hurts bad. When it first happened, I broke down. I was inconsolable. I got better as time went on. Then I got down here, put on a Padres uniform, and it hit me. Now it just hit me again. He also said there were just some things that I felt could be better, and I thought I was in a safe place to share them. Clearly, I wasn't. So he vocalized some things to the team, to the front office that he felt could be better, and he was fired over that. Over philosophical differences. Are you kidding me? He was fired for not being a puppet for the organization down on the field. That's ridiculous. Now fast forward to this season. This season starts with the Tyler O'Neill situation, where Ali Marmol felt like he wasn't hustling hard enough. So what did he do? He called him out publicly. Publicly. Tyler O'Neill was frustrated by that situation and voiced as much to the media, like, hey, you could have brought that to me. Ali Marmol doubled down publicly with this entire situation. Ridiculous. The terrible mishandling of the Jordan Walker situation, where he was having a good start to his career, and then they just sent him down. Sent him back down to the minor leagues, which guess what? Oh, by the way, they called him back up, and now he's going to play enough time this year to just barely not play enough games to still have an extra year of rookie eligibility. Shocker. Cardinals handling that situation in a typical way. They put the entire blame for the pitching staff and the rotation on Wilson Contreras, your $90 million new signing. You put all the blame on him and move him out of the catcher position. The St. Louis Cardinals are a proud organization with a great track record for winning. And I just feel like this current front office is tearing it down in the name of analytics and having control over what's down on the field. Sure, analytics are great, but at some point, you have to have some feel. Mike Shildt had feel. Jordan Walker was getting results. The pitching staff clearly wasn't the answer. But in the name of analytics, we're changing all that. This team is extremely talented and more than capable of winning in a weak NL Central. But it just feels like they're going through the motions. This is unacceptable out of the St. Louis Cardinals. They are my one down.
I felt that.
It's
I know.
So frustrating.
It's especially when a team has pieces to be successful.
And you felt like they were turning it around.
We talked about it coming into the season.
Yeah. Into the season, you feel like, a couple of years ago, I'm wearing his shirt. They had Nolan Arenado. Nolan Arenado just pretty much falls into their laps. Mm-hmm. What were the Rockies doing? I don't know. I have no idea. But all I know is the Cardinals ended up with Nolan Arenado and somehow an extra $50 million because of the whole situation. Falls into your lap, and then, up and down, and then a really bad start to this year. And then in May, it appeared they kind of started to figure it out and turn it around. Well, then end of May, early June, just more of mediocrity and bad. Swept by the Pirates. I watched their game the other day. They're going through the motions. And to me, when you see a team in the middle of the year just going through the motions, a manager is a big part of that.
It's everything.
Yeah.
You got to have someone who's going to step up and not only be the voice and the leader on the field, but in the clubhouse and in the dugout. Who's doing that for them? And you got to buy in. You got to believe in your leader.
Yeah.
It's tough.
All right. They are my one down. Alex, who is your one down?
So my one down, this does not bring me any joy because I really dislike talking down about my teams and a team that I love and a team that I believe in. My one down this week are the Angels. with everything they have on the line this season to try to keep Shohei Ohtani and a position they need to put themselves in to continue to stay in the fight for the postseason and to get to the playoffs, which is how you are going to be able to keep Shohei Ohtani, you can't have these stretches where you go 3-7 over the last 10 games. You fall behind the 2 Texas teams in your division who are red hot right now, especially a divisional matchup against Houston this weekend where you lose 3 of 4 to the Astros. They're currently in 3rd place, 8.5 out of 1st place in the AL West, 4.5 games out of the wild card spot behind the entire AL East. Meaning, if you want to snag a wild card spot and make a playoff run, and you want to keep Ohtani, you need to be winning more series
You got to
than
jump a lot of AL East teams.
You got to, all of them. You have to jump all of them. And just this past week, their offense struck out 69 times. That's the 2nd most in the majors. They hit just 188 with runners in scoring position, and no team struck out more with runners in scoring position than the Angels this past week. So they're not taking advantage of the opportunities. That's where you need to capitalize. If you want to keep Shohei Ohtani, and I know the entire Angels organization and the fan base will do anything to keep him, you got to win. And you can't have these bad stretches.
Yeah.
That's my down.
I agree. They are striking out way
too much.
And it's funny because I ended up having a discussion about this on Twitter over the last couple of days because somebody tweeted out the Baseball Savant page for Luis Arraez, which is, you see the red and where they rank, the red and the blue, and where they rank in terms of the analytics and stuff. And Luis Arraez has a lot of blue, but really he's in the 100th percentile in whiff percentage, balls in play, and expected batting average on balls in play, but towards the bottom in terms of exit velocity and all that stuff. And I tweeted this out. I tweeted, the game of baseball is funny. You put the ball in play, you don't strike out, and you don't swing and miss, good things tend to happen. And a lot of the responses ended up being like, show this to the Angels, please. Yeah. Because a lot of, the game of baseball really has changed a lot over the last couple of years, where not even the last couple of years, the last decade. And I don't disagree with it to a degree, but we got to the point where it's all exit velocity, all launch angle. And look, the end of my career was even the same way. And I went to a hitting coach that was the same way. And I felt like my swing was a million times better. And I totally understand it. But there also is a degree still to, look, cut down on strikeouts, put the ball in play, don't swing and miss. And when you put the ball in play, good things tend to happen, especially now this year with the rule changes and the defenders playing in certain places. Put the ball in play, good things happen. Luis Arraez does not hit the ball hard. I think he's in like the 30th percentile for exit velocity, but he's batting around 400. I mean, put the ball in play, good things happen. And certainly over the last week, the Angels have not been doing that, and the results have not been good.
Yeah, it's
I agree
tough.
with you.
And it's tough because I think we both obviously follow the team with Shohei Ohtani and Trout, and I worked with them for 10 years, so they have a big place in my heart. You don't want to talk down on your teams, but they got to figure this out.
I want them to be good for the reason that I think all baseball fans I want Mike Trout in the playoffs.
He deserves.
I want Shohei Ohtani in the playoffs.
He deserves to be in the playoffs.
They are two of the biggest stars in the game, and we don't get to watch them on the biggest stage because the team constantly. You remember that stretch they went on last year? They lost 2 weeks worth of games straight.
Brutal.
More. I mean, it was remarkable, and they just tend to go on these streaks, and that can't happen.
It can't.
So I want to see Shohei and Mike Trout in the playoffs because the game of baseball deserves that. But as of right now, we are again not looking at that. Thanks for watching. If you love flipping bats, swinging 3-0, or just talking ball, join us. Call us at 213-537-9339 with your questions. We have a weekly guest, and we have a lot of fun, so hit that subscribe button.